Like, whatever, it's a message to all the people out there that whatever their dream is, that they should never give up.
I don't wanna die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born.
In a moment that defied logic and shattered expectations, a 7-year-old Norwegian girl named Angelina Jordan stepped onto the stage of Norway's Got Talent and delivered a haunting rendition of Billie Holiday's Gloomy Sunday that stopped the nation in its tracks. With no shoes on her feet and a voice drenched in raw, smoky soul far beyond her years, she left the judges speechless and the crowd on its feet, creating an instant viral phenomenon. But what made this moment extraordinary wasn't just her vocal ability, it was the energy, the emotion, the spiritual weight behind every note. Millions rushed to YouTube to witness what some called the reincarnation of jazz royalty. Vocal coaches analyzed her phrasing with disbelief, jazz musicians across continents praised her timing and control, and music critics were stunned that a child so young could channel such sorrow and elegance without ever seeming rehearsed. Yet even as the world fixated on her talent, few understood the symbolism of her Barefoot performance. Viewers saw it as a quirky stage choice, a novelty even, but what they missed was that Angelina had made a personal vow long before that stage, one rooted in empathy, shaped by a life-altering moment with a shoeless orphan girl she met on a trip abroad. That vow became her symbol, her signature, her protest wrapped in silence. She wasn't just performing, she was storytelling with purpose. At an age when most children chase applause, Angelina Jordan was walking barefoot into the spotlight carrying the emotional burdens of a generation. And from that moment forward, the industry was forced to grapple with a difficult truth. A child had just raised the bar for what it meant to perform with soul, and she did it without bending to the circus of fame. Long before Angelina Jordan ever stood beneath the spotlights or trended across continents, her decision to perform barefoot wasn't a branding gimmick, it was an emotional commitment born from an act of raw, human compassion. During a family trip abroad, Angelina encountered a young orphan girl who walked the streets without shoes, her feet bruised by hardship, her silence louder than words. Deeply affected by the sight, Angelina did something most adults wouldn't think to do. She took off her own shoes and gave them to the child. That gesture, simple but profound, carved a permanent place in her heart. From that day forward, she vowed to perform barefoot in solidarity with children suffering across the world, using her art not just as a platform for melody but as a stage for meaning. Every time she stepped out shoeless, it wasn't for style or attention, it was a statement. It was her quiet way of saying, "I see you, I carry you, I honor you." In an industry where gimmicks are currency and authenticity is rare, Angelina's barefoot symbolism set her apart as an artist who was rooted in experience, not image. It became the emotional thread woven into every performance, connecting her to audiences not just through sound, but through shared humanity. Critics and fans alike may have initially seen it as a quirky stage habit, but those who looked deeper understood it was the visual echo of her soul, tender, empathetic, and defiant. As she aged, the barefoot vow never faded, and instead became part of her legend, signaling that her journey wasn't about record deals or red carpets, it was about walking with those the world forgets. In a world obsessed with flashy entrances and viral gimmicks, Angelina entered barefoot and left footprints that couldn't be erased. Angelina Jordan's rise wasn't built on marketing budgets or corporate machinery, it exploded organically like a lightning bolt no one saw coming. After her stunning performance on Norway's Got Talent, clips of her began spreading across the internet like wildfire. Jazz purists couldn't believe her tone control, vocal layering, and melancholic phrasing came from someone barely old enough to read music. Social media erupted with admiration, labeling her a prodigy, a reincarnated jazz great, a once-in-a-generation voice. She was the kind of rare artist that seemed too magical to be real. Yet, as her viral fame reached a global scale, something strange happened. Angelina didn't capitalize on it. There were no morning show appearances, no flashy US tour, no publicist-engineered stunts. Instead, she retreated. Just as the world leaned in, she stepped back. For a child who could have written her own ticket to fame, This vanishing act puzzled fans and industry professionals alike. But to those paying close attention, it wasn't a disappearance, it was a refusal. She was rejecting the circus, the fast-paced commodification of childhood talent that had consumed so many young artists before her. Angelina seemed to understand something few in her position did, that the price of instant stardom often comes at the cost of authenticity. Rather than feeding the hype machine, she chose to protect her soul, letting silence speak louder than headlines. And in that silence, her legend grew. When most child stars go viral, the next step is almost always the same: a record deal, a makeover, and a fast-track debut album built by industry suits. But Angelina Jordan made it clear from the beginning, she wasn't here to be remolded. Behind the scenes, major record labels approached her with lucrative offers, excited to turn her into the next international sensation. But those offers came with strings: image consultants, stylist teams, songwriters who would strip away her jazz roots in favor of bubblegum pop. And Angelina, at just 8 or 9 years old, looked at those contracts and said no. Time after time, she turned down opportunities that promised fame but required the sacrifice of creative control. Insiders say she walked away from A-list producers who wanted to polish her voice with auto-tune or package her into a marketable persona. To outsiders, it looked like a missed opportunity. But to Angelina, it was a matter of survival. She wasn't interested in being a product on a shelf, she was an artist. And in an era when viral stars are chewed up and spat out, her defiance was revolutionary. By refusing to be molded, she not only protected her soul, she redefined what it meant to have artistic agency as a child. Angelina wasn't chasing fame. She was building a foundation brick by brick, quietly, deliberately, and entirely on her own terms. While her peers signed contracts with Disney and Nickelodeon, joined TV shows, and launched pop careers before puberty, Angelina Jordan chose a radically different path. Instead of press tours and red carpets, she spent her formative years writing poetry, composing jazz melodies, and experimenting with her sound in private. Her family became her creative sanctuary, and rather than handing her over to industry execs, they built a cocoon around her, a space where art thrived without deadlines. While the world expected her to follow the Hannah Montana playbook, Angelina was reading Nina Simone lyrics and listening to Billie Holiday vinyls. This wasn't just a different career path, it was a cultural rebellion. At a time when most young artists are curated for algorithms, she was studying history and translating emotion into music with a maturity that baffled even seasoned musicians. Her absence from mainstream channels wasn't an oversight, it was a decision. She could have been a viral mascot. Instead, she became a silent force. And in a world addicted to spectacle, her quiet resistance became her loudest statement. Angelina proved that you don't need a Disney show or a TikTok dance challenge to matter, you just need purpose, patience, and a voice worth listening to. Years after her viral breakout, Angelina Jordan made her return, but it wasn't with flashing lights or manufactured headlines. She didn't drop a surprise album or announce a world tour. Instead, she quietly released 2 deeply personal songs, Million Miles and Seventh Heaven, that showed exactly what she'd been working on in the silence. These weren't pop bangers designed for radio play, they were jazz-infused ballads, filled with raw emotion, poetic vulnerability, and restrained instrumentation. The lyrics told stories of loss, distance, healing. The melodies swayed like lullabies for the soul. Even the music videos were minimalist, designed more like visual poetry than commercial content. And her fans, who had waited patiently through years of silence, instantly embraced the new work. What set her apart wasn't just the sound, it was the feeling. These songs didn't demand attention, they earned it. Each note felt like a whisper shared in a quiet room. Angelina wasn't performing for numbers, she was connecting, and her comeback proved that her bond with her audience hadn't faded, it had matured. She returned not as a child star, but as a woman with stories to tell. As her profile began to rise once more, industry executives returned with renewed offers, sensing a second chance to capture the elusive star. This time, the offers came with even more glitz, collaborations with trending artists, viral campaign strategies, even global fashion partnerships. But once again, Angelina Jordan held her ground. Insiders revealed that several A-list producers approached her, offering to modernize her sound for chart success. The deals were massive, the exposure guaranteed. But with each pitch came the same silent demand: compromise. Angelina walked away from all of it. She wasn't interested in being repackaged. She had tasted the silence, the control, the purity of creating on her own terms, and she wasn't willing to give that up. To the music industry, this looked like stubbornness. But to her fans, it was proof of integrity. In a landscape where most artists are built by teams, she stood as a one-woman rebellion. Her career wasn't about fame, it was about truth. And by rejecting offers that could have made her a household name overnight, she made a louder statement than any Grammy speech ever could. As the mainstream continued to debate her absence, Angelina found her rhythm in the place where it all began: YouTube. Her stripped-down covers of songs by Adele, Amy Winehouse, and Elton John once again went viral, not because they were flashy, but because they were honest. A single microphone, a soft spotlight, and her bare feet were all she needed to move millions. New fans stumbled across her videos daily, and old fans returned to find that her magic had only grown stronger. Her unique blend of old-school jazz with modern soul bridged generations, earning her praise from teenage listeners and seasoned jazz aficionados alike. Without a single chart-topping hit or award show appearance, she had quietly built a global audience that wasn't just watching, they were listening. Each new video became a small event, discussed in forums, shared across continents, and dissected by vocal experts who still couldn't believe how someone so young could command such depth. And through it all, she remained untouched by the industry's noise. She was growing, not by chasing attention, but by earning trust. While fans speculated online and the industry whispered about her next move, Angelina Jordan was doing what she always did best: creating in silence. Behind the scenes, she had begun crafting her long-awaited debut album, a project shaped by years of personal growth, independent releases, and hard-won creative control. There was no teaser campaign, no strategic leaks, just hints dropped through interviews, studio photos, and cryptic captions. What made this upcoming project different was that it wasn't designed to chase the charts, it was designed to last. Every song was reportedly written or co-written by Angelina herself, with production handled by a close-knit team that respected her vision. No commercial interference. No pressure to conform. Just honest storytelling wrapped in jazz, soul, and subtle rebellion. And while the public still waits for an official release date, insiders suggest the album will be a culmination of everything she stood for: defiance, elegance, depth. She hadn't just survived the industry's neglect, she had evolved past its need entirely. Today, at just 18 years old, Angelina Jordan stands not as a child star clinging to past fame, but as a visionary shaping a future that's entirely her own. She's no longer just the Barefoot girl who wowed talent show judges, she's a composer, a storyteller, a creative force who defied every industry norm and emerged stronger for it. In an era when teen stars burn bright and fade fast, her slow-burn career has built something far more valuable: trust. Her fans don't just like her music, they believe in it. They trust that every lyric was written with purpose, that every note was sung from a place of truth. And as rumors swirl about her upcoming debut album, one thing is clear: this isn't a comeback story. It's a continuation of a journey that's always been guided by heart, not hype. Angelina Jordan may never top the Billboard Hot 100 or dominate the radio waves, but she's doing something far rarer: she's building a legacy that doesn't expire with fashion trends. She sings for those who listen, not just those who scroll. And in that, she may be the most radical artist of her generation.